Hello, and welcome to an episode of Todd Talks. When Todd talks, people listen. Wah! Hopefully. Today, we are doing the preview for the upcoming death battle between Wario and King Dedede. Now, before we get started, I do want to apologize because in my previous reaction video to Captain Marvel vs. Shazam, where I won, I noted that Wario vs. King Dedede was the first in-house Nintendo death battle outside of the Pokemon Triple Threat. Not only was that incorrect, I completely had a brain fart and forgot about Ganon versus Bowser, Zelda versus Peach, and Koopa versus Goomba. I do apologize for that. I don't know why that thought didn't cross my mind that they had done this before, but it did. I apologize. Let's move on. But this is a very interesting death battle because this is one that you didn't really see coming, and this is what they had been teasing, is that they would do like the standard, like Marvel versus DC matchups and stuff like that. But then they would do like the oddball matchups, like the Mega Man Battle Royale, Widowmaker versus Black Widow, and now Wario versus Dedede. And the reason they're doing this one is because there's a certain logic to Wario and Dedede being the same guy because they both hate their main character, yet they'll both help their main character, and they're both driven by greed or gluttony. And so, yeah, that's why they're fighting. So let's get right into it. Wario is the antithesis of Mario in every single way. Mario is kind. Wario is greedy. Mario is selfless. Wario is selfish. Mario was willing to save the kingdom. Wario is willing to steal everything in the kingdom. In fact, his first appearance is in one of my favorite Mario games of all time, in Mario and the Six Golden Coins, where Wario not only took over his whole kingdom, he stole Mario's freaking castle. It's so hard to say Mario and Wario in the same sentence. He stole Mario's castle. So, yeah. And ever since then, Wario has been the enemy of Mario because apparently when they were kids, he was always jealous of his powers and his destiny of being a great hero. And apparently they played cops and robbers once, or sorry, like 200 and some odd times, and he got to be the cop once. So he was basically groomed to be the bad guy. So shame on you, Mario. Shame on you. Now, something that gets lost is the strength of Wario. First of all, he is one of the seven star children, which means that he's already blessed with great power. But it's stated in certain databases that Wario is actually stronger than Mario, and I find that interesting because it's said that his power is actually on par or close to the strength of Donkey Kong and Bowser, which of course Mario has beaten, and of course Mario has beaten Wario in the past multiple times. So, but it said that his strength is exceeds Mario, probably because of his frame, his very very large frame. I'm not saying he's fat. Yeah, he's fat. He's fat. He's so fat. And not like pH fat, like F fat. You know what I mean? So, but Wario, darn it, Wario does not let that go unused because Wario, for whatever reason, is actually one of the most agile fat guys you are ever going to see in video games or probably in life. Outside of that one guy in Street Fighter, he was in Street Fighter 4, Rival to Ken. I can't remember his name. I never played that one, but yeah, he was pretty agile for a fat guy too. Anyway, so Wario uses his body weight to his advantage. He can actually create earthquakes with a ground pound, and he also has an earthquake punch that he had in his Wario Land series. First of all, I just want to know, I didn't realize that Wario had so many games. I knew about the Wario Land series. I knew about like Six Golden Coins and the WarioWare titles. I just didn't realize he had so many titles. So hey, props to you, Wario. Anyway, so he has his own set of tools. He has incredible strength. He actually uses a lot of wrestling moves, like he can do a pile driver and a corkscrew slam, and he even mimics a lot of Mario's power ups in terms of being able to use fire and metal and electricity and certain other things. And of course, he has the waft, his nice big fart balls. That's just wrong to say, but yeah, he did that. So Wario is very, very powerful, and he has an incredibly oddball moveset. I mean, yes, he has like some of the standard stuff, but then he has his motorcycle, which he'll happily use as a weapon. He has his waft, he'll use as a weapon, and then of course there's Wario Man. which was born in the WarioWare series, and I think it's starting a few other games. I didn't look into every single one. Where he eats a loaf of garlic. I thought it was an onion. No, it's garlic, and turns into basically a superhero for a limited amount of time. Now, this is where it gets tricky because in the WarioWare games, it doesn't exactly show what Wario Man does. He's just the maestro of the mini games. But in Super Smash Brothers for Wii U and 3DS, and in Ultimate, he has enhanced strength, increased speed, invulnerability, though he can still die if he falls off stage, um, and certain other abilities. Now in Wii U and 3DS, it's a power up, so it's a timed one. But in Ultimate, it's like a quick transformation and then like a cutscene because they wanted to speed things up. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they interpret it. They have used Smash Brothers as a reference for characters before, including Luigi and Star Fox and Kirby. So it's gonna be interesting to see, you know, who or how they interpret Wario Man. So his speed, I couldn't really find anything legitimate about his speed, but if he can go toe to toe with Mario, who is incredibly fast in his own right and can react pretty quickly, I would say it's fair to scale to him. So, I mean, I don't think he's light speed. He's definitely not light speed, or he can't react at light speed. But again, he is able to go toe to toe with Mario, and Mario's Mario. So. Now, weaknesses, well, that's obviously it's his greed and his personality. And yes, that's two different things. His greed and his contempt for Mario has driven him to do things that are wrong, 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 and yet he still loses. Like he captured the kingdom and 6 golden coins, and yet he still lost to Mario, who, if you actually played the game, Wario was here, Mario was here. Like, that was the size difference when we first met Wario. Obviously, they shrunk him down since then. Now, so if he gets into a rage, it actually makes him vulnerable because it's never good to fight with a clouded head. But hey, it's worked for Mario in the past, so why not? All right, King Dedede, who I thought was dead after King K. Rool hit him. Apparently not. Thank you, Smash Brothers fans, for getting that joke. King Dedede is the self-proclaimed ruler of Dreamland on the planet of Popstar, the most confusingly shaped planet ever, as a certain wizard once said. And by self-proclaimed, I literally mean that, because even though he has castles and he has, power, it's always debated about how much power he actually has. Like, if you watch the Kirby Right Back at You anime, the people of Dreamland rule in spite of him, or live in spite of him. It's like, yeah, he's the king, but what does he really do? And all he has is the army of Waddle Dees and Gordos at his command. Everyone else lives on their own without Dedede's help. So, but whether he's a bad guy or not is also up for debate, because he does care about Dreamland. It's just that he's very jealous of Kirby. For when Kirby crash landed on Popstar and started, help the people and save the day, he really wanted to be Kirby, to the extent that he trained himself. If you saw the preview, he trained himself to mimic a lot of Kirby's moves and to be able to beat him in a battle. So yeah, he did just that. He got trained. He got swole, not super macho Dedede swole, but swole enough. We'll talk about him later. And he gained a move set that was able to rival Kirby's. Now, it should be noted that King Dedede is actually is the second most appeared. Oh, sorry, hold on. I gotta say this right. Sorry, he is a second most appearing character in the Kirby series, not named Kirby. Okay, he's only not appeared in one Kirby game. One. And that was The Amazing Mirror. The only other characters to appear in more Kirby games than Dedede is Kirby, obviously, and the Waddle Dees, who are a staple of the Dreamland and all that. So he's been around. All right, he's not really had his own games outside of maybe I think one spinoff, but he's been around. So through all of this, he has both fought with Kirby, uh, fought armies of bad guys together and against each other, and he's still around. So that should say something about his toughness, because if you're going up against Kirby, who Death Battle has already established is pretty freaking strong, you need to be pretty freaking strong yourself. Now, obviously, his biggest asset isn't just his size; it is his hammer, which is able to deal incredible amounts of damage. And as shown in Smash Brothers and various other games, it's a freaking rocket hammer. All right, because he could swing that thing, charge it up with rocket power, and boom. And he also has multiple hammers, like he has in masked DDD form, where his hammer actually can launch missiles. Because why the heck not? So yeah, there's that. And then, of course, much like Wario, there is his girth. Now, you could argue whether he actually is fat because he's penguin, and penguins do have a slightly larger body size at times. Sorry, I do not understand this impersonation. Okay, I'll stop. But he's pretty girthy. He's got girth. But again, he uses that to his advantage because despite his girth, he can actually jump 4 times into the air. He can do the Super DDD jump where he jumps up and just slams into the ground, causing tremors and all that, and stars to appear if you're in the Kirby games. Much like Kirby, he is able to inhale his enemies, but he does not swallow them and gain their abilities. Instead, he shoots them out as stars, and if they hit various objects, they can take a lot of damage. And he can take a lot of damage because he's fought Kirby, and among other things, he's fought Nightmare and a bunch of other beings from via all the via all the Kirby games. Now, the reason most people think of him as the antagonist is because he does fight Kirby sometimes on his own volition, but a lot of times when he fights Kirby, it's under possession. Like in Kirby and the Crystal Shards, where he was infused with dark matter and it corrupted him, or in Kirby's Epic Yarn when Yin Yarn possessed him, or in recent Kirby Star Allies where he was technically possessed and became Swole DDD. So yeah, he does fight Kirby a lot, but oftentimes it's just because of circumstances. Other times he's fought Kirby because he's actually trying to save Dreamland. He once hid the Star Rod so that Nightmare wouldn't get it, but Kirby didn't realize that at the time because Kirby's not the brightest bulb in the bunch. And they had to fight to try and figure out what was going on. And then by the time Kirby won, Nightmare got released. Oops. And so DDD helped him to defeat Nightmare and save Dreamland and the universe. So now, if King Dedede has a weakness, it's that he's not exactly the nicest guy around, and his jealousy can get in the way. But it's only jealousy towards Kirby, so you could argue that if he's fighting anyone else, he really doesn't care. He just wants to get, be done with it and prove he's the king. So yeah. So here's the thing: how do we determine who beats who? Because my initial thoughts were you could scale Wario to Mario, obviously, because they're Star Children, similar powers and everything. And then you could scale King Dedede to Kirby. But obviously that's not fair because Mario and Wario do have different stat abilities. And though King Dedede has gone toe-to-toe with Kirby, you could argue that he doesn't have the same feats as Kirby in terms of strength, speed, and all that. So how do we determine who wins? Well, we have to go off the feats that we know and the abilities that they have. And while Wario has Wario Man, there's a possibility that DDD could get Swole DDD, though it's not confirmed. It does depend on interpretation of abilities. But Wario Man, though making him invincible, that doesn't guarantee he's going to kill DDD. And remember, the biggest thing here is what's the quickest way to victory, And for me, all I can think of is that while Wario bites his opponents, DDD swallows his opponents. So you could argue that DDD is just going to swallow Wario and then send him to a place where he can't get out of, even with Wario Man. And, he wins that way. I don't know. It's a little bit tricky. And the other thing is that if you recall the recent Death Battle preview for DDD, there's a clip where him in his floating form actually kept up with Kirby and his Warp Star, and Warp Star can move faster than light. And while obviously you can say that he's clearly not moving as fast because he drifts off screen, even if he's a fraction of that in flight, I don't think that Wario has that kind of speed. Mario doesn't have that kind of speed. Mario in the fight with Sonic, he has reaction speed. he is able to react when he is in certain forms and has certain ability in certain things like being on the Star Rider. He's not moving as fast as light. He's reacting at the speed of light. And while it's true that Wario could have something similar to that, I don't think that he can match Dedede in terms of pure speed, especially when he's flying. And I think that Dedede is a little bit more mobile than uh, Wario. Not to mention some of his attacks I think are better at long range, and he gets some, of course, his Waddle Dees and his Gordos. So at his hammer and everything, and I think the King Dedede has this one. So I think this will be a fun little death battle. I think it's going to be close, but in the end, I am picking King Dedede as my pick. He's my choice in this battle of the greedy arch rivals. So we'll see how it goes. And with that, I'm ending this episode of Todd Talk. So who do you think is going to win between Wario and Dedede? And why do you think they're going to win? What do you think will be the feat that puts them over the top in one way or the other? Let me know in the comments below. So I thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I know you were listening, and I'll see you around.